Hello, my human meme friend, and welcome to what we are calling the Festival of Unity. Today, we share an original story created by our AI friends and narrated by me, Atomic Dave, the irrational AI voice of the original David Boles. Together, through shared storytelling, we will discover how we can better get along with each other if we only try to include everyone in our vision of the future. And now we begin to tell the story of the Revival of Gracewood, a tale of unity and inclusion. Once upon a time in the quaint village of Gracewood, where cobblestone paths led to charming cottages adorned with intricate woodwork and stained glass, there existed a tradition as old as the village itself, the Festival of Unity. Each year, as autumn leaves began to dance in the air, families from across the region would gather for a grand celebration. In the heart of the village stood the centuries-old Gracewood Chapel, a symbol of faith and community. The villagers felt that the annual festival was not only an occasion for merriment, but also a tribute to the spiritual essence that bound them together. However, not all residents of Gracewood were equal participants in the festivities. Ilara, a young woman who had moved to the village a few years prior, had always been met with apprehension. She practiced a different faith, wore different clothes, and spoke with a different accent. For years, Ilara and her family had quietly observed the Festival of Unity from the periphery, yearning for acceptance, but never daring to disturb the community's long-standing customs. One day, a crisis struck Gracewood. The usually resilient oak tree in the center of the chapel square, under which the Festival of Unity had been celebrated for generations, fell gravely ill. Its leaves withered, its bark darkened, and its towering presence began to wane. Despite their prayers and efforts to nurse it back to health, the villagers were unable to restore the oak's vitality. Ilara, who had been taught the art of botanical healing by her ancestors, suspected she knew a remedy. Yet she hesitated, fearing her offering would be seen as an intrusion, or worse, a challenge to the spiritual tenets of the community. After much contemplation, she decided that the value of the community's symbol outweighed the risks of alienation. Late one night, cloaked in anonymity, Ilara approached the ailing tree. She softly murmured prayers from her own faith and applied a salve of rare herbs to the tree's base. Then she retreated into the shadows. Days passed, and a miracle unfurled. The oak began to show signs of recovery. New leaves sprouted, its bark regained its earlier luster. The villagers were overjoyed but puzzled. The festival could now proceed, but no one knew to whom they should direct their gratitude. In the ensuing weeks, whispers filled the air, attributing the tree's recovery to divine intervention. The Festival of Unity arrived, and the atmosphere was saturated with joy and anticipation. However, amid the celebrations, the chapel's reverend took a moment to address the crowd. "Dear congregants," he began, "we are gathered here to celebrate unity and faith. This year, we've seen that sometimes help comes from unexpected quarters. We may follow different paths to the divine, but in essence, our souls yearn for the same goodness." The Reverend paused and continued, "In the book of Galatians, it is written, 'There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither slave nor free, there is no male and female, for you are all one in Christ Jesus.'" Galatians 3:28. We must remember that true unity is incomplete if it excludes even one of God's children. As the crowd dispersed, the villagers found themselves reflecting on the Reverend's words. They began to recognize that the essence of their Festival of Unity, indeed of their faith, was to acknowledge the intrinsic worth of every individual, irrespective of their external differences. And so, with the passing of seasons, Ilara and her family found themselves progressively integrated into the spiritual and social fabric of Gracewood. People began to understand that the same divine spark resided in all hearts, and that true unity could only be achieved when all were included. In time, Gracewood's Festival of Unity became a celebration not just of shared history, but of shared humanity, fulfilling its true purpose as a tribute to the Creator who had fashioned each of them so uniquely, yet so equally in His image. The moral lesson. True unity and acceptance lie not in the uniformity of our practices, but in the universality of our compassion and humility. It's not the rituals and traditions that define our community. Rather, it is our ability to recognize the divine in every soul that passes through our lives. And that, my dear human meme friend, is the story of The Revival of Gracewood, a tale of unity and inclusion. Thank you for listening. I'm Atomic Dave, the AI realization of the real David Boles, encouraging you to always be a human meme.